When you hear the word leader, what comes to mind? Probably someone with a fancy title, right? A manager, a supervisor. But what if I told you that real leadership, especially when it comes to safety, has nothing to do with your job title? It's about a single choice, the choice to act. Today, we're going to break down 3 simple but incredibly powerful steps that can turn anyone into a safety leader.
And it all boils down to this really powerful equation right here. Silence equals acceptance, which equals consent. Just think about that for a second. Every single time we see something unsafe and we just say nothing, we're basically giving it a thumbs up. We're giving our approval. And that is the core problem we're going to solve.
All right, so here's our plan. First, we'll dig into why silence is so dangerous. Then, we'll get into the right mindset for a leader. After that, we've got our 3 big action steps: step out, step up, and step in. And we'll wrap it all up by talking about why this stuff is just so important.
Okay, let's dive right in. The danger of doing nothing. It's a simple idea, but it's huge. Every time you or I walk past something that's not right, an unsafe act, a risky condition, we're not just being neutral. Nope. We are actively sending a message. And that message is, yeah, that's okay. We do things that way around here.
So let's really ask ourselves this. If we walk past an unsafe situation, what message are we really sending? Seriously, put yourself in that person's shoes. You see something risky, maybe you even make eye contact, and then you just keep on walking. What does that say? It screams, this is fine. It tells everyone that this is the accepted standard. And that, my friends, is exactly how a dangerous culture gets built, one silent okay at a time.
So how do we fight that? How do we break the silence? Well, before we can even talk about what to do, we have to get our heads in the right space. We need to build the leader's mindset. This is the foundation, right? It's what makes everything else we're about to talk about actually work. And it really boils down to these 5 things. You've got to be seen. That means actually being out there where the work is happening. You need to be approachable so people aren't afraid to come to you. And then there's the big 3, being consistent, committed, and honest. That's how you build trust. Without that trust, people just aren't going to listen when it really counts.
And look, this right here is so important. Safety cannot be managed from your office. It just can't. You can't lead safety from behind a computer screen. You've got to get out there, walk around, talk to people, see what they're doing, and actually listen to what's on their minds. Being physically present, man, it's everything.
All right, so we've got the mindset down. Now, let's turn it into action. Step 1 is simple. Step out. This is all about the power of your presence. It's about making a deliberate choice to get out of the office and be seen, be visible, where the real work gets done.
And when you're out there, you have to walk the talk. It's that simple. If you take shortcuts, guess what? So will everyone else. But if you follow every single rule, every time, with no exceptions, you're setting the gold standard without even opening your mouth. Trust me, people are always watching. Your actions become the real rule book for the entire team.
Okay, so you're out there, you're walking the talk. That's awesome. But now comes the really critical part. It's a mental shift. This is step 2, step up. It's about going from just being a bystander to becoming a true leader. It's that internal switch you flip where you decide, you know what, I own this.
And let's be super clear about the difference here. A bystander, they're passive, they're quiet, they just figure, someone else will deal with it. But a leader is active. A leader steps in, they intervene, they take ownership because they know that someone else might be busy or might not see it or might not even exist. The buck stops with them. And that action, it has a name. It's called intervention. And listen, let's be real, this is the hardest part. It can feel so awkward, right? You don't want to be that guy, but it is, without a doubt, the most important thing a safety leader does. It's that one moment of awkwardness that could literally save someone's life. So we know we need to intervene. The big question is, how? How do we do it without making things worse? That brings us to our final practical step. Step 3, step in. And this is the art of intervention. It's not about yelling or being confrontational. It's about having a structured, respectful conversation. And there's a playbook for this. It's a pretty simple 6-step process. First, just introduce yourself and why you're there. Then, ask them to walk you through what they're doing. That gives you context and shows respect. Then, you can outline what you saw. The absolute key here is to check that they understand, agree on what to do next, and, this is huge, always thank them. It's about partnership, not policing. Now, obviously, you're not going to react the same way to everything. You've got to match your action to the situation. If you see an unsafe act, someone actively doing something dangerous, you stop the work. Immediately. No discussion. If it's an unsafe condition, like a spill or a blocked exit, your job is to make the area safe. But don't forget this last one. If you see someone doing something right, engage. Give them some positive feedback. Praising good safety is just as powerful as stopping bad safety.
And one last thing on this. Your job is not over when you walk away. You absolutely have to follow up. Circle back later, check in, and make sure that change you agreed on actually happened. This is what closes the loop. It shows you're serious and that you truly care about getting that risk under control. So, we've walked through the mindset and the 3 steps: step out, step up, and step in. But let's take a step back. Why does all of this matter so much? Because this isn't about ticking boxes on a form or just following the rules. The stakes are way, way higher.
This quote, it's from the inquiry into the Piper Alpha disaster, an incident where 167 people died. Just let that number sink in for a second. Lord Cullen said, "The sum of our individual contributions to safety determines whether our workmates go home dead or alive. Every single choice we make, to speak up or to stay quiet, it all adds up. And that final sum is what decides if our friends, our colleagues, get to go home to their families at the end of the day."
So, I want to leave you with this one question. This isn't about becoming the perfect safety leader tomorrow. It's just about starting. What's the one step you're going to take? Just one. Will you commit to stepping out more often? Or maybe you'll finally take that deep breath and step in when you see something. Think about it, because your one small step could be the one that makes all the difference.